Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this second webinar. And actually, it's follow up with the last one is in April 7. That's overseas sharing on the guidelines for assessment of a course equivalency. Because of the time, we only have 1 hour, so maybe a little bit longer, but it won't be too long. Okay, so we will start now. And at the same time, we are waiting for other participants to join in. So I would like to thank all the speakers. You can see here, we have 16 speakers. I'm sure that this will be a fruitful discussion. And we also would like to invite all the audience to interact with us. You can ask questions anytime during the webinar so that we can have a dialogue. And also at the same time, we would not have a high expectation that within this 1 hour discussion that we will solve the whole problem. So hopefully this will increase the awareness, and then we'll have a continual dialogue on this very important issue to enhance the credit transfer, equivalency, transparency, and hopefully will improve our SY students' learning experience. I would like to give a very brief introduction first in case you haven't heard about this project. This is a UGC-funded teaching and learning project titled with Enriching Senior Year Places Students' Learning Experience through curricular and also co-curricular activities in Hong Kong's universities. You can see that we have 4 universities participate in this project, but now you can see that we involve all the sub-degree and degree institutions to join in this project as well to have a fruitful discussion. So today's rundown, because of the time, we already arranged the speakers like according to different disciplines. We will have this rundown. So before that, I would like to give a very, very brief guideline that we have right now in Hong Kong, so that we know that our current situation. We will send you this PowerPoint later. Because of time, I will not go into the detail about those guidelines that exist. You can see that most of those guidelines for students actually can be accessed publicly. Okay, there's some only for internal. But here is the summary of those guidelines cover. Mainly cover university credit unit system, course exemption, what's the maximum transferable credit, and some of the requirements that need to, like, for example, how many credits are required to graduate, and also a capability of a credit transfer, and also some of the procedures, and also the application time. So for staff, we can only look at, for the public accessible information, actually we cannot find any, okay? But we, according to the 4 universities in this project, we check it, and it seems that mostly those guidelines are more or less the same as the guideline given to students. And here is the summary. The guideline actually do not cover general principle for making the judgments. Some of the practical instruction are not found. Okay, like for example, like the course breadth and depth, credit value, measurements of performance and learning activities, academic level equivalency, or like delivery mode, or etc. And also do not cover special regulation for courses that in specific subject area. Okay, so those are some of the guidelines that we have right now in Hong Kong context. So now I would like to start our sections, like section by section. So the first section is in nursing and health sciences. So may I invite Professor Chow Ka-ming, do you have anything to share in terms of in the degree institution?
Okay, thank you. So in our school at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, actually we have 60 places for senior year admission students every year. Actually, in our university, we don't have any credit transfer applied to senior year admission students, but we offer a course exemption for the students. So the challenge we encounter is we need to review the program curriculum of each applicant to see whether their curriculum align with Nursing Council of Hong Kong syllabus, to see whether we can offer course exemption for them. And also because we want to provide a less workload for the students, we offer a different study plan for different students because we don't want students to take duplicated courses in their associate degree and also in our university. So for different programs of associate degree or higher diploma, we offer different study plan for the students. This is the most challenge for us because we need to design different study plan, and also each student should have different credits to be complete in our university to be graduate and also to get the license of registered nurse in Hong Kong. So this is the challenges we encounter, but we have a supportive team, and we also have a specific staff to help to review each program curriculum of each applicant to see how to align with it. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Garming. So maybe our sub-degree institution representative, like Erica, Ms. Erica Lee, do you have any, like for example, your student might articulate to our degree program, and what are the challenges and possible solutions? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would like to share, I think, from the perspective of a sub-degree institute, our experience in seeking credit transfer with local universities for our high diploma in healthcare program. Okay, just some background about the programs. The programs launched in 2015, and it aims to prepare students for both degree articulation and working in the healthcare sector. And the program was revamped last year, and we have started a new round of discussions with local GC universities for senior year entry to their Bachelor of Nursing programs. I would like to share a few points about our experience in the mapping exercise. The first is you may wonder the mapping exercise is done on a broad basis or a course-by-course basis. In our case, normally broad credit transfer is given for generic courses, such as language and IT in the degree programs. But for GE courses, some universities, they would expect students to complete GE courses in specific disciplines or in specific study area in order to get credit transfer. But for the program-specific courses in nursing, normally course-by-course credit transfer applied, and the process is more complicated and tedious than broad credit exemption. When it comes to the procedure and involvement of sub-degree institutes in seeking credit transfer with local universities, our experience is that the mapping exercise is far more than a paper exercise. We provide local universities with our program documents such as syllabus, assessment samples, and teaching materials. And after sending all these documents, we actually have quite a lot of discussions and communications and follow up with the PL of the degree programs to fill gaps. This means that we have to clarify with them the content of our courses, the depth of coverage, and the assessment arrangement. And I think this discussion facilitates both parties to clarify and to understand why some courses are transferable, but some courses are not. Okay, so another issue is the adaptation of syllabus for credit exemption or credit transfer. Because normally the PL of these local universities, they are quite willing to discuss with us on their mapping criteria. And they would also suggest us or advise us to make some adaptations to our syllabus so as to get credit transfer. For example, they may suggest or advise us to make minor adjustment of our syllabus, or to include specific topics in the curriculum, or to incorporate lab or hand-on sessions. So what in this case, we have to look into the principle underlying our program design, and also consider the completeness of our curriculum, and to decide whether to modify our syllabus or not. And the last is about the recognition of other learning experience. And currently, I think, other learning experience, what I mean is non-formal curriculum is not covered in the mapping exercise. But in our higher diploma healthcare programs, our students, they have to do a total of 100 hours of work integrated learning. And they have also participated in quite a lot of co-curricular and extracurricular activities, such as health seminar, virtual academic programs, and exchange programs. So we think that for these activities enhance student learning experience. So in the long run, we would like the universities to consider with non-formal curriculum, when they approved credit exemption. So
thanks, Erica, for your sharing. I think we particularly Erica, I'm not sure whether you work with other university, and but PolyU nursing program work closely with them, and I think Erica already shared how it works. Okay, so maybe Terrance.
Okay, thank you, thank you, Kim.
Mr. Terrance Lee,
Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for coming to the webinar meeting. I'm Terrance Lee from the High Diploma Program in Medical and Health Products Management from Hong Kong U-Space Stanley Ho Community College. Perhaps I can share my experience in running this program regarding the credit transfer and articulation issues with you. The program actually is under SSDP because this is a high diploma program, right? 60% of the course can be the specialist of course, including anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology, pharmaceutics. You know that these courses actually are the core modules in health science degree program offered by local university or overseas university. So it will be an advantage to our students. They can have more choices in the longitudinal application. We have credit transfer agreement made with the overseas university, but not yet have any agreement have been made with local degree programs, right? However, the student can still be enrolled in senior year program of some UGC funded degree and self-balancing degree program. And of course, some students will choose to be enrolled in the year one program in some professional degree programs such as nursing, occupational therapy, radiography, lab science, etc. We offer clinical attachment program, but this is an optional course. So I'm thinking whether we can change it to credit bearing course because we cannot find the training place in Hong Kong, so we send the student to overseas university in Taiwan, Australia. So thinking whether it would be changed to a credit bearing course and would be accepted as for credit transfer by nursing degree program in the future, because nursing degree program offer a lot of placement courses in the program. So my conclusion is for course matching, right? Of course, it would be definitely an advantage to our students into the program, but I don't think it is a must. Okay, and high diploma actually is not only for vocational purpose, right? Because you can see that student can be promoted to the senior year and year one program in Hong Kong, either in Hong Kong and overseas. And high diploma actually is from UK, right? We have high diploma for long times ago in Hong Kong Polytechnic and Hong Kong Technical College, right? It is from UK. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Terrance. Okay, so just a quick conclusion is that in this section, the discussion, it seems like, for example, sub-degree, Erica, you have some articulation with some of the program, degree program, but Terrance, in your program, it seems you don't have any agreement but you don't think it's really necessary at the same time. Okay, yeah. But even though the student get into the degree program, I'm not sure whether you know that how those credit has been recognized. Okay, so maybe we can further discuss later. So let's now go to the business. Then I give Dr. Anthony Pan to chair that. But if there's something similar, we don't need to continue, or you can start to further discussion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jiang. Let me introduce myself first. I'm Anthony Pang from the Logistics and Maritime Studies Department of the Faculty of Business at PolyU. I just want to share with you the general principles of FB in terms of credit transfers when we talk about articulations from the associate degree or high diploma programs. For credit transfers in our faculty, mainly we only allow the credit transfers of level 1 and level 2 subjects in our faculty. That means level 3 or level 4. Normally, we do not accept credit transfers. This also aligns with the QF systems, QF framework. And also for some subjects that are monitored or required by the professional bodies, we are more restrictive, I can say, that are not easy to get credit transfers. And when we look at the subjects for possible credit transfers, mainly we look at the teaching methodologies, including, for example, the contact hours, the assessment methods, or whether it is on individual basis or on group basis. We also look at this in details. And how it works in our faculties, normally we will pass the applications, the credit transfer applications, to the individual subject leaders or subject lecturers for their own considerations, because they are the expert in the area or in the disciplines, so that they know how to compare the subjects between the associate degree or high diploma courses and our own courses. So this is how we do it. And we do the same. We apply the same principles for credit transfers and also for course exemptions. How it works, what was the difference between these two? We only restrict the maximum credits for credit transfers, such that the students, after they join us, they still need to have at least 50% of the credits to be taken at PolyU. So this is the requirements. So anything above this or more than that, we can only accept course exemptions. But in terms of the assessment, we do the same. So this is more or less what we do. And in our faculty, we also have a database for previous successful credit transfer records. But I can say this is not, at this moment, this is not accessible by the students. But I know that we share this information with the SYA project team already. So that means in the future, maybe the students can see the list of the subjects that they can apply for credit transfers. So I think more or less these are the things that I want to share. And in terms of the practice in our faculty.
Yeah. So I just quick join in that I share that in nursing, we do the similar process. Okay, so we ask the subject lecturer, invite the subject lecturer to go through those credit transfer, whether it can be credit transferred. So may I invite others, business colleagues in a sub-degree? Do you think that is clear to you, this what we do?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Anthony Pan and also Kin. Basically that I think it's according to those speakers that you share with us, I think we encounter exactly what we face with, that we have to manage better in a way. And especially from our associate degree program, that is Hong Kong Baptist University College of International Education. And you can see that because there are inconsistent, because previous speakers also mentioned about in terms of the criteria and the things that they will look into in regard to the depth and the width, but so different already between our local university. Okay, and so in terms of the components that they will be looking into are very different too. So how we manage while we try to review our course in order to improve the equivalence, then this is one thing that we have to consider. And especially that the course that we tie with the local professional body that they can get exemption from public examination, okay, that's another issue that we have to take into that stakeholders' perspective into concern. Okay. And furthermore is because of the students nowadays, they are highly mobile, not just in terms of getting more articulation chances around the local university and also from university overseas as well. So those criteria that can be very different, then each time that it will be boils down to the case that just like case by case consideration. Okay, and that is good, honestly, because it will let the program leaders, because they know the best and with the expertise as well. But it will be in terms of the transparency or information that can be consistent to student, then it might not be very easy to, not just to student, also to the administrative staff or to the teaching staff that we have to manage these kind of issues. Okay, so I think, I'm not sure, but is it possible that we can find some standard set of rules or guidelines while we will have to allow a certain level of tailor-made cases? But if there is a standard set of guidelines, because Dr. Cheung also mentioned that actually that the guidelines are, there are a number of things that didn't cover at all. Okay, so if they are going to be provided, we hope that it's able to have some elaboration, details, examples, so that when we look at it, or students, they have a reference of it, they know whether it is really course to course that they can have the equivalence or not. Okay, and one thing that we are doing now, actually, that we are always trying to invite a lot of local and overseas institution academia to be the course academic advisor. Because throughout the whole year, okay, or in terms of their contract terms with us, then as an AA, then they are able to look into our course documents already. So that's when they go for their consideration and approval, then it can be much more straightforward to them. Okay, and then we have a higher transfer students that course or credit transfer can be applied easily. Okay. And then see if we can apply some more overseas institution good practice, because we found that overseas institutions, they got quite well established information that is open to a lot of different stakeholders that as a reference. Okay. And I think it's good that we can collaborate closer. So we learn from each institution, and now I know more about from poly-year, okay, and then from other subsidiary degree program, then we can have better communications around this topic.
Okay, thanks, Amy. So Larry, Larry, give you some 1 minute.
Okay. Actually, I agree that a guideline should be developed in the long run. But I think that in this stage, maybe we would depends more on the articulation agreement or MOU to be developed with partner school or partner university, because I think that it will enhance the ease of our students to get articulation to a degree without any problem. As what Anthony just mentioned, that we have set a ceiling. I think many of the university will have a ceiling, for example, 30%, 50% as the maximum capacity, maximum cap of credit transfer as allowed by the university. Here I would like to share a very funny or interesting observation is that I can see the credit exemption policy or credit transfer policy is now changing. For example, as I heard from some of my students saying that at the very beginning, maybe the university would not allow them to have their internship experience to be exempt when they proceed from high dip to university degree. But it seems like that because of the change, because of the effects of COVID-19, maybe some of the university have made other decision to allow our students to have their internship exempt or credit transferred to their degree study. So I think that there's some flexibility here. So maybe the guideline is important, but maybe at the same time, we need to keep reviewing the guideline. For example, like the internship arrangement here. So I think this is what I would like to share.
Okay, thanks very much, Larry. I think Amy gave a very good kind of summary about those guidelines, like because currently is no clear guideline. So with the elaboration and also the example could be a good direction. And also I heard that like Amy also mentioned that overseas experience, and that's why our webinar decides like that. So we have from US, I think they have a long history so that they can share. So I just want to advertise a bit. So next time, another webinar that will be overseas again from UC. Okay, and then and also Larry also mentioned the MOU. Okay, so our last webinar also will cover that agreement. So hopefully all of you will join in again. Okay, so now we'll go to computing and engineering. Dr. Au Yuan.
Thank you, Dr. John. And let me share my screen.
So you have only 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay, I'll be brief. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeff from Hong Kong U-Space Community College, Associate of Engineering Program. So basically, our program has about 400 students in year 1 and year 2 both, and including 20 to 30 mainland students. And well, generally 90% of the students will choose the articulate to degree programs. We actually face a lot of difficulty on credit transfer. The major problems that we have is our graduate will articulate to more than 50 different programs, just count for local, but not overseas. And we found that the credit transfer arrangement and also the requirement from different universities, even different programs in the same university may have a very large variation. And it is actually very difficult for us to make adjustment on our course to fulfill all those requirements from different parties. And even every time when we think about whether we should modify the program structure, for example, the course title, syllabus, assessment, we have to inform all the parties. Otherwise, students will have problems on their common credit transfer exercise. The university will say that your course changed, and their original credit transfer arrangement is not valid anymore, and then you have to do it again. And all this will be even more serious for the overseas degree program because students are articulate to even large variation of program in different university, and they have very, very different and strange credit transfer arrangement. And students always come to talk to me and ask for some very strange documents and information that we cannot provide to them for the credit transfer. So I think that is actually a very tough task to us, okay, for many years. Okay, I think that Dr. Leung from PolyU also here. Maybe he can also share with us about the arrangement from PolyU. Thank you.
Okay,
thank you.
Well, thank you. I guess we can help you a lot with our current curriculum, because in computing for a senior year intake, we design a program with just 60 credits. So basically, we don't need any credit transfer. We just assume that they have reasonable background in most year 1 and year 2 courses. So when they come in, they will mostly study year 3 and year 4 courses, plus some of the the general education thing. And no need for credit transfer. But it just happened that a student had already taken a course that's similar to what they need to take here in the senior year curriculum, then they can apply for a credit exemption. Then they can free up the credit to take something else. If they don't want to retake the same thing, or if they want to retake the same thing with a better grade, it's their own choice. So therefore, from our past experience, there were no problem from the senior year students. And interestingly, many of them will not apply for any credit transfer, even though they need to restudy the same thing again once in a while. Now, the credit transfer is more useful for those who cannot get admitted to the senior year program because, in Hong Kong, there are some senior year places, but if those who cannot get so good a performance, then they need to go to what they call year 1. But in PolyU, even if they get into year 1 through the non-JUPAS route, they can still get up to 30 credits of transfer through their hybrid or associate degree study. So normally they will pick the better grades and they apply for credit transfer on their own choice. So it's not hard to pick up 30 credits out of 60 that they have already studied. So for our department, if a student submit a credit transfer request to our own courses or subjects, and we will look at the curriculum to see how much they map. And then we also look at the credit load. You know, and in some places, the credit load is very interesting. Sometimes, like in Europe or European credit transfer unit, and they are not one-to-one mapping. So we need to be careful to ensure that the workload are similar, the content are similar, and then we also look at the grade to make sure that the grades are competent enough, then we will grant the credit transfer. And to avoid the what we think may be potential inconsistency across subject lecturers across years, because the same subject may not be taught by the same person, and the guideline may change. So therefore, we take the credit transfer at the department level, and we will consult as well the subject lecturer if there's something that we need to clarify from them. And we built up a list of credit transfer in the past. Therefore, we will also refer to the past record to make sure that we have a relatively consistent decision on the credit transfer. Now, in some cases, if we have a course, but there are no matching courses out there, but if a student from associate degree can take 2 courses with the content basically the same as cover the same cost here, then we also allow the 2-to-1 mapping for credit transfer. So that will give a maximum flexibility. And in the past, we didn't see too much problem in terms of credit transfer, especially when Poly had standardized the maximum number of credits to be 30 for the non-senior year intake. And we solve a lot of the problems that may arise.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so from what I heard from Dr. Leung is that like there's a block credit transfer, right?
Yeah.
So maybe later, see whether audience have any question on this, because we received the question from the audience. One of the questions is how to do this like block credit transfer. So maybe
block transfer for our department only apply to international exchange.
Oh, so it's not for the admission. For
not for admission, because we also had a special course called close to a car or general education. So a student, suppose that they take a business course, and if a faculty of business is not willing to give the credit transfer, and if you deem that is at the university level, then we can also give a credit transfer in a special course in our department that count towards a non-computing elective, because in our program, we do allow a student to take something else besides the major and minor, and besides the car. So that will count towards that special pattern.
I see. Okay, so maybe we can leave this later in the Q&A. So may I invite like Mr. Tony Koch for the next section for the Arts and Social Sciences?
Yes, hello. Let me do the share screen first.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okay, I believe you can see the screen, right?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, should be working.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. Yes. Good.
Okay, nice to meet all of you. And yeah, I'm very glad to be, to speak on behalf of some of the program leaders in HKICBA, including Thomas, Sylvia, and Vera. We are from, I'm from language, and Tom and Sylvia from social science, and Vera is from design. Okay, we tend to summarize a bit of ideas, okay, from us and from our graduates, okay, how difficult we are when we do credit transfer, what are difficulties and challenges we have, and then what are the consequences and what are the possible solutions. First of all, think of the challenges. First of all, we don't think the credit transfer mechanism is transparent enough, because to us as program leaders, as well as to students as well, sometimes we don't know how we can map the subjects, and we don't know how students perform well. Some if they pass the subject, they can get credit transfer, but for some other universities, they may require a higher grade, like C grade or even a B grade for credit transfer. So it all depends on the university, how they have the rules, okay? And for some students, they have to do application in order to get approval, subject by subject, or in the block, to do it as a block. But for some programs, when we have some kind of agreement, we can do automatic transfer. Once they get admitted, they can do all the required subjects transfer. But so again, it varies in different departments, different programs, different degrees. And as mentioned in previous sections, previous parts, okay, some are doing credit transfer, but some other subjects are just doing subject exemption. They are different. For credit transfer, of course, from its name, it tells, right? We do credit transfer. They can transfer for credits. But for exemption, they just don't need to take the subject, but they have to take other credits as well. Okay, so these are some difficulties. And it is not uniform, even within the same university. For different departments, we find that it is not uniform, because we are aiming at multiple articulation pathways for some of our graduates. They can move for different departments in the same university. But for some subjects, they can get approval for one department, but not for the others. Moreover, we don't have, I don't think we have a formal communication channel for student consultations. When they need help, they usually go to those informal online forums, okay, to look for information instead of looking for program leaders in the degree program, because they have difficulty in finding some formal channels for communication when they articulate to universities. So some possible consequences will be, of course, heavier workload, crowded, more crowded timetable, and when compared with the HKDSC counterparts, they have a much heavier workload. And of course, for resources, right, a waste of resources to us as HKCC, as high-tip and AT programs, as well as universities, because students have to take the same subject and even with the similar levels again and again in AD as well as in universities. And of course, owing to limited time, they will have only limited or even no participation in student development activities. And of course, they will be, it will be less possible for them to join exchange programs, because in AD or HT institutions like us, HKCC, we don't have much exchange program. We have study tours, but we don't have much exchange tours for one semester. But for universities, usually they have exchange programs for half a year or even 1 year. So they cherish the chance to join. But owing to credit transfer arrangement, they couldn't join the exchange program. If joined, usually the results will be they will have a delayed graduation. And again, as mentioned before, placements may or may not be recognized by universities. And finally, most of them will be, having a delayed graduation, more than 4 years, because of the exchange.
Okay, may I stop you here, Tony?
Yeah.
Can you go back to the slide?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for your observation here. And actually, our 3-year UGC funded project, we have a conduct survey and also focus interview, and also we in PolyU, we also access the data from the AR. We already published the paper to support your observation. Okay. So SY students, they really have a heavier workload. All the things that you mentioned here. Okay, even though whether they delay graduation might not, but they wish to finish within 2 years. And also because of the funding given from the government is 2 years only, right?
Yeah.
So it's quite difficult to defer like program, or some of the program might not really or like willing to allow the student to have a defer their study. So so that's why they are very packed, low U life. Actually, their mental health actually is not as good as those JUPAS students. So I just want to let you know that we already have evidence to support this. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much. And they have a very packed schedule, even in the summer term. For other people, then in the summer term, they can enjoy study tours or other activities. Right. But for them, they have to take extra courses for graduation.
Right.
And to end with some possible solutions. Okay, of course, we look at, have a close alignment between our intended learning outcomes, okay? For the scheme one or for the program one, from the AD or HE program, as well as undergraduate degree program. Of course, we can assign, academic advisors or mentors to senior year students, so to help them to do credit transfer, give them advice on that, or buddies, okay, or student buddies. Of course, we look for official documents, right? Documenting all these kind of credit transfer arrangement of subjects, as well as the requirements mechanism. And because I know many universities university program leaders will come to our institution to do the admission briefing. When they come to our admission briefing, it would be very good if they can share as well their credit transfer arrangement, so that our students, as well as us as program leaders, we will know how credit transfer can be made after their graduation in AD or HT. And of course, we look for better communication between program leaders of ADHD programs as well as undergraduate degree program. Like what we are doing in this KCC is that we will have the annual articulation partner feedback survey or kind of interview in this KCC. We will interview our articulation partners, get some feedback from them for credit transfer and for many other matters, okay, to help us improve and help us know what are the needs from universities. And of course, MOU, right? We mentioned that later on, maybe in the coming section. We look for MOU particularly for the GE subjects, the generic subjects like English, IT, critical thinking sort of subjects, because this is common in university as well as in college, in tertiary institutions. That's all from me now. And let's see whether Sylvia, Thomas, or Vera have anything to add, or any of the participants have anything to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. So what about maybe I invite Dr. Carol Poon
Thank you
to say a few words. Yeah.
Thank you very much for invitation, for sharing our challenges and obstacles facing in articulation. I would like to say that most of the challenges, I think that most of you have talked about that. But basically, our university is also our LIPAs, OUHK LIPAs is also facing some challenge, especially on sometimes we want to know the culture of the articulation, especially on the senior paces for our students. Because usually whenever we talk about articulations to UGC, quite a number of our students would like to know that is it possible for us to go to that UGC program, especially in art and social science, because they already noticed that the UGC senior year paces is very few, but there are quite a number of students competing for those quota. So that's why we hope that just like the other disciplines or this discipline mentioning that we hope that the information can be more transparent. And then of course, we are also still looking for MOU. But some experience may be shared in my section in our university is basically in NIPAS, especially in the program which I am the program leader, which is the higher diploma in Japanese studies. We have some experience in Japan because there are, I suppose that all of you noticed there are quite a number of private and public universities in Japan. They are really looking forward to have more overseas students. So that's why in my program, it is interesting that compared to apart from articulate to local university, because those majoring in language studies or area study is not that much in Hong Kong. But I noticed that in PolyU, they have bilingual studies, because our students are very interested in that program also. But unfortunately, my student is major in other language. They cannot get exemption from that program. So sometimes they really want to go to that university, but usually they need to start from year one. So some of my students facing those problems is that even I really want to articulate to UGC, but they give another option for us to choose, ask us to start learning from year one. So that's why we hope that is it possible for more different varieties on the exemptions, or maybe in some language or some generic courses for doing these kinds of credit transfer, or what we can do in order to help the student to get a senior paces. So that there is some information and some challenges we are facing.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. Maybe I invite Dr. Lee Bing to address a bit in the CTU. Yeah, that was related to language, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. John, and good afternoon. I'm Lee Bing from CTU. I'm also the deputy program major leader of linguistic and language applications. This may well, our students actually come from, the AS2 students come from a diverse background, including, bilingual communications or studies of Japanese studies, English, communication. So it's a little bit hard for us, very challenging for us to provide a unified kind of criteria for not credit transfer. That actually is not determined by us. It's determined by the university. All the students who are given this status who are successful in enrollment will be automatically receiving the 60 credit of how do we say, block transfer, so that they in 2 years they must complete the major requirement. That's about 60 credits in the major courses. But we do offer subject exempt, and like Tony just mentioned, when they come to our university, when they come to our department, we'll see if a student need to retake, for example, those fundamental courses or the major courses at an introductory level. But just as Dr. Leung has mentioned earlier, many students do not want that actually. They would rather retake the course because I guess on one side they wanted to have gain a higher grade, GPA probably, and on the other hand, probably they notice that even for the same introductory title, the same title courses, we may use different textbooks. We have different assessment tasks. They wanted to learn more probably. So in my experience, many students actually turn down these subject exempt after they get into the department. But it's true that they do have to complete 6 credits. That's 10 major course and 9 major electives plus some other courses in 2 years. So for them, we do not encourage, not allow. I mean, we do not encourage them to go on exchange programs because we are afraid that they will not be able to complete the required courses within 2 years, because graduation actually is the most important thing for them, right? So, but for internship, they have summer. So we do encourage them to take internship during the summer when they are kids, because that can actually help them with future career, to find a job, things like this. So for CityU, we have, I think we have all the information for block transfer and those credit distribution, I think on the website there. But I agree that we do need to know more from Tony and Carol, how your students, what's their expectation probably, and how we can learn from you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Lee. So maybe Peter, do you have anything to add on the degree institution aspect?
I don't think I have anything particular to add. I think everything has, more or less everything has been said in one way or the other already. But I do concur with essentially, especially all the experiences that I heard from the sub-degree programs. There are a lot of issues and problems. Maybe the one new things I may add, or maybe that hasn't been said before, is the good news to some extent maybe is that the degree programs and the degree institutions are getting more aware of the issue. And I am part of the SYA group, project group, and I have had some really interesting conversations recently with the vice president of the university and the associate vice president of the university and various other, and they are getting more and more aware. And there is a more urgent, increasingly urgent feeling that we need to do something. It will still take a little bit until it is actually done. Institutions are slow, but I was actually very pleased. I attended, I think it was on Tuesday, so 2 days ago, a meeting of our General Education Committee, and there we approved a new regulation that for the first time, we didn't have that before, so I thought it was actually quite exciting. We approved that for all incoming sub-degree graduates, so associate degree, higher diploma, and or other, they will categorically be exempted from all of the university core requirements in terms of like language requirements and that kind of thing. Previously, that was not the case. Previously, there was still sort of individual assessment, and some students had to do language requirements and some students did not have to do language requirements, which made it firstly very intransparent, something that has been raised before. Nobody knows who has to do what, so it's very difficult for the students to plan. But also there's a sense of unfairness. Why do some have to do this? Why do some not have to do it? One of the previous speakers said it should feel, or it feels kind of appropriate that we as a also UGC funded institution should accept the teaching efforts of other local institutions in particular, and not sort of on top of what they did already do require additional. So I was very happy with that development, but obviously more needs to be done. The good news is the universities are becoming aware of it, also thanks to this project. But please, for the sub-degree representatives, be a bit more patient with us. We are working towards this. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. So there's some kind of a good ending like that. But it will start with the Q&A now. Okay, so any question from the participant? We really, hopefully, the audience can interact with us. So any question? I know that some of the questions you've posed already, but I think we addressed some of them during our discussion. So please turn on your mic and say something, or in the chat room that you can write down your question or concern, or share your experience. Just like Peter said, that I think it's important to hear your voice, or you agree with what we have shared at this moment. Any okay, maybe while we are waiting, what about the speakers? Since I think we are a bit rushed, okay, in the beginning. Now we have a few more minutes, like 10 minutes. Anything that you might want to share, but you don't have time.
Hi,
yes.
Ken. It's
Yes,
Terrance.
please.
Okay.
Terrance, yes, please.
For my case, I think my case actually is very similar to the case, Jeff's case, Dr. Jeff Allen's, because we actually students can be promoted to a variety of university degree programs, not just for nursing. But if we structured our course to suit for the year 1 and year 2 program in nursing, then the chance for the admission to other programs, such as pharmacy, will be reduced. That's my my sharing, my opinion. So quite difficult, I think, if the program, because the program actually is developed for so many years ago, for almost 15 years, so it builds up its reputation. So although many students actually want to be articulated to the year 3 program in of course in poly nursing and also in CHK Carming's course.
Right.
That's my sharing.
Yeah, I think, thank you very much. I think one of the speakers also mentioned that like students actually study 2 years, right, in the sub-degree institutions, and what they learn, we don't want to waste those learning and also resources. So if they get into the university, they still have to study from the year 1. That might already waste the resources already, because they already studied 2 years, right, in the sub-degree program. So I think articulation, how we can consider the credit transfer, is very important. So now we see some of the, yeah, sure, can please ask questions.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Hi, I just had a
Thank
question.
you so much. Yeah.
No problem. I just have a question because like because I heard about like exemption on the for some kind of internship or like some kind of a practice, you know, if they do like on-job practice. So because I myself experienced something like quite difficult. Like I did my all my associate degree in Santa Monica College, which had an agreement with the UCs. And when I transferred to HKU for a double degree program, and they said like I couldn't transfer the credit because there's a very strict schedule with the teaching practice. So I was wondering, like, because I heard about like making maybe like in the future there will be like some kind of exemption for those stuff. And would it be also considered for situation like this, like with someone finish their associate degree and then transferring to university in Hong Kong, any of them with a program that has a very strict like a internship, like how do you bridge that? That's just like maybe something to think about. So that because I took all the credits from year one again, so like I got like 0 credit transfer, even though it's recognized in Hong Kong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you particular one, Peter, to answer you? So you're talking about HKBU or?
Sorry, what do you mean?
No, I think she was talking about Hong Kong U, not HKBU.
Hong Kong U. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I mean like in general, it doesn't have to be a specific university, but the situation like this, because me personally going through that, and I just want like, maybe in the future for other people who study overseas and want to come to Hong Kong and do maybe change their major, and then which requires some kind of internship, but with a very strict schedule, then their credit not being considered. Because like a lot of time I hear so far, it's more about the courses, just like the courses itself being like transferred, but then it didn't take into consideration where you have a schedule like, for teachers, every year you have teaching practice. Then how is that going to bridge? Because, you have to go from year one, because the course itself is very tight. How can you be more flexible to adjust to that? I guess that's my wonder.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. So Peter is raising hand.
I may answer that, but of course I can only answer it very generally, because this will affect multiple different universities, and all, as we have heard today, there are vast difference between the different universities. But I do think what all of the universities share is that 90% or something like that of our the SYA students are local. So we have very, very few international students coming from international sub-degree programs and trying to get into the degree programs in Hong Kong. I am very certain, actually, if speaking for HKBU, if we had a single application from an international sub-degree, that students, we would do everything to get them, and we give them every exception that they want, just to keep them and to get them. Now, maybe HKBU is less renowned and more desperate to get international students, but generally speaking, I think for those very few cases that we see with international background as SYA students, we would very likely be very supportive and generous in terms of the credit transfer. Now, apparently HKU has a different policy, but I'm fairly sure for the smaller universities in Hong Kong, we would be quite generous about that. Having said that, all of the universities have different practices, and so I can't possibly speak for everyone, but next time apply for us, and then you'll
yeah.
Okay.
I think for the sharing so far, not just the difference among the university, even among the program within the same university, right? So that's why we are working on it, and hopefully we can have a certain uniform or standard guideline that the most of the program can agree upon on, hopefully. Okay, so that's something we are trying to do it right now. Yeah. So, but I want to share that, like, for our case, I think in the university, we can say that probably using case to case, like to consider if you come from the overseas. So particularly, I think for nursing program, because we guided by the nursing council, then we have to see like those experience, whether they meet the requirement. Yeah. So yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So our next question from Thomas Chen. At last sharing, Professor Handel shared his experience at UC. He mentions they have assigned articulation officers to handle credit transfer issues. May I know any such a no? In Hong Kong, we don't have. That's something that I actually want to hear audience or speakers. Do you have any thinking about this? I remember Dr. Handel mentioned that in the one UC, okay, one university, only have one officer. It's not like, I thought that is each program have an articulation officer, but it's not like that. So it's a university base, have a one articulation officer. So that person will go through all those syllabus from the sub-degree, and then kind of match with the degree program. And then once they establish this framework, okay, so that like yearly they have to review and all those documents, and then to see whether any changes like that. So any thoughts, Thomas, about this?
Sorry, this is Kevin from the Hong Kong Institute of Bankers.
Yeah, hi, Kevin.
I just want to have a feedback and comment on this. Why not? Because I want to share experience that is for the university degree, okay, the undergraduate program, especially those professional degree programs, for example, accountancy, law, or even medical school, okay, they may refer to their professional associations, industry needs, okay, in order to develop their program, all right? Why not those sub-degree providers can take this as a reference, okay? Just build up your high diploma or even the associate degree curriculum with a strong reference to those local universities or some target degrees, okay? If the overlapping degree can be enhanced, okay, between these two layers of a degree, okay, the sub-degree and also the undergraduate degree, then the articulation problem, okay, in a high-level sense, okay, can be minimized.
Any responses from the sub-degree participants or speakers?
Yeah, just take because I'm also an accountant, so I just want to share all the local degree accounting program, okay, we take reference to Hong Kong HKICBA, the syllabus, okay, and industry needs, okay, and those are practicing standards, and they develop, okay, the accounting students, okay, in such a way and in such a direction so that they can become the professional accountant in the future. So for those sub-degree program leaders, you may just take a reference to this kind of a direction as a strategic development tactics for your program. That means if you want to target the local U degree program for more articulation of your students, then you may just take this, okay, as one of the elements to develop your sub-degree program or sustain your sub-degree program. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kelvin. I think that is come to that, like we need to have a communication, okay, between the sub-degree and degree programs. Our next webinar from the overseas will cover this part. We will be happy that they are also honored to invite that they from the School of Music, actually. So they will share the experience in the academic sense, right? So instead of like the administrator, they share their experience. So the speaker will share how the sub-degree and degree will communicate and strengthen that articulation. Yeah. Okay, so very good. So because the time, if you have further questions, you can stay behind, but I want to do some after work, like certainly, as you know that this is a big area to discuss. So hopefully in the short term, okay, we can have at least increase the awareness, and then we will further have a dialogue. Hopefully we can have a kind of community or practice or something like that, okay? Yeah, so we can further work on this, because I think you need to have a group of people to work on it first, and then we'll further have a standard guideline will come out. It will not like through 1 hour discussion will come up with that. So at least we have a good fruitful discussion. But for those audience, you can click scan this QR code, and you can fill in the questionnaire very quickly. Okay, give us some feedback, and we will also provide you a certificate to appreciate your participation on this webinar. Okay, so we will also send you an email too if you don't have time right now to scan this QR code. So, and we will also upload the recordings and also the materials. So hopefully the speakers will allow us to upload your PowerPoint so that more audience and also some of the audience may be people that may not have time to join because they have teaching commitment or whatever reasons, so that they can read those materials. Okay, so we will upload those information in our resource website, and hopefully if you have time, you can also go through our resource website. We have published 8 papers about our studies. So just like Tony mentioned before, all those have evidence to support them. So you can have a look of it, and hopefully you can share them in your institution to make some changes. Yeah. Okay, so as mentioned, our next webinar, we will invite the dean from the School of Music, actually, and she actually done a lot of work and also published a paper book, okay, with Dr. Handel. Yeah, so they are really have a very good experience on this area, and we are honored to invite them to share. And she most likely, she will also invite the community college representative to come to share together, so that the dialogue will not only from the degree institution and sub-degree and degree. Okay, over there they use community college. In Hong Kong we use sub-degree, right? This terminology, so a bit different. Yeah, so hopefully we will fix the date. And you can see the website here. We have the resource website, and also there's a credit transfer website consists of the information that we can correct, okay, at this moment. So we will invite you later as well to give us some comments on this. Yeah, so we also hopefully will invite you again to join next time, because as a speaker, I mean, okay, or other colleague from the audience side, if you want to be a speaker for like, I mean, there's a local section again, okay, following the overseas speaker. So hopefully we can share together and continue dialogue in a way, even, I don't think this is considered very formal, right? But we want to be very informal, interactive way to improve the student learning. Okay, so this is the evaluation form again, if you don't have time to scan it before. So, and the registration for next section, I don't, is it is still okay? Oh, okay, it's open already. Okay, so you can click it as well to register if you you have time. Okay, so at this moment, do any other audience or speaker, do you have any other questions? Because I know that it's 2:07 already. Some of you may have to go have another appointment or teaching commitment. So feel free to leave, but if you want to continue have some discussion, we will stay behind. So see whether any other questions. But our webinar for today is finished here. So please feel free to leave if you have other things to do. But if you want to continue to have some discussion, please feel free. Thank you.
Thank you,
and thank you for all the speakers, your time and also your sharing.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
And everyone, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. So if we do not hear from you, then we will close this Zoom meeting now. We will close the webinar. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.